Oh yeah, the levels are good. This is a good one, man. I'm glad we were able to get him on. Shoot, where do we start, bro? He's relatively young in the powerlifting game. Strong, very naturally strong. Natty dude out of Houston, Texas. Man of many talents. Man, I mean, music he can do it. Editing he can do it. Photography he can do it. His newest talent is lifting a lot of weight, which is crazy. He's a student of the game. He's a father, husband, really good friend, and one of the most talented people that I've met in a long time. And more than anything, man, he's a man that's learned over the years how to take care of himself, not just physically but mentally. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you, man, the myth, soon to be legend, Chris Anderson. Yeah.
What's up, Cook? Look at that. I like that. That was
Yeah,
clean.
cool intro though. I ain't gonna lie, the intro was there.
That's fire. You know what I'm saying? Give me something to live up to.
Nah, it's all good. I mean, you pretty much done it all. All I did was just sit here and tell history. So for those of the people that are under a rock that don't know who you are, give us a 20-30 second intro of the man that is Chris Anderson.
Man, I'm a videographer shifting into documentary filmmaking. I'm also a project manager here in Houston for Centerpoint. I do energy distribution, and I'm a father of three. I got a stepdaughter, Chloe, a son, DJ, and my little sweet baby, Osti. Here.
That's crazy.
Yep, man. I've been a member of your team for going on 3 years now. I'm happy, getting stronger, and this is a big part of my life. I'm happy, getting stronger.
So yeah, man. The cool thing about Chris, man, that those listening and watching is you're gonna rarely find him without a smile on his face. I think like the first times I met him, he was just smiling, laughing, cracking jokes. And I honestly, it was a blur because I saw the dude, my God, this dude is strong. A lot like with Jonathan, I'm like, man, this dude's strong. That's crazy. But man, love to get my hands on a dude like that. And then that was it. And it was like a couple weeks later, I'm like, yo, how did I get this dude? It literally was that fast. You know what I mean? Say some things that you know, they say be careful what you wish for, man. I this one, man, I'm like, dog, I don't know how I got this dude, but I got him, man. And he's ended up being, you know, I mean, it's weird. I'm talking about you like you're not here, but you've ended up being, you know, not just entertaining, man, but you've ended up being such an asset in my life in terms of just, you know, just there's some people that you run across that just are just raised light, you know, no matter what. I mean, and sure, like, you know, everybody has their down days, everybody has their up days, man. But you know, you have those people that I really consider assets in my life that are very consistent. No matter you know what they're going through, they try to find a way to help you find that brighter point, that brighter light in your day. And Chris is one of those that you know I definitely taken a lot from you know from his book in terms of how he treats people, how he relates to people. You're going to be hard pressed to ever at least in the times that I've encountered Chris, you're not be hard pressed to ever find a point where he doesn't make you feel like you're that particular person in the room, that no one else exists. He's got a very, what's the word I'm looking for?
I like to say vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a way of connecting with people on a deeper level in a faster way than anybody I've ever freaking seen. So I think it really definitely it lends to you know your talents and abilities to just you know get everybody in the same room along the same energy. You know, so it's cool to see such a big dude with such big energy. You know, and really you know again, it's cool to see somebody whose energy matches their physical stature. He's a big dude. He's not a small guy. He's 120 plus. You know what I mean? So you know you look at his numbers like yeah, all right, this dude is moving crazy weight because he's a big dude. But you know, it's I don't know. It's one of those things where the biggest dudes have the softest hearts, man, and you're definitely no exception, man. You're a big teddy bear, man, and he just really finds a way to you know to really put people's minds at ease and just make them feel like you know they're wanted, needed, and heard and listened to person. The main reason I brought Chris on, again, for those that are watching and listening, I mean, again, if you see Chris, you're like, oh, dude, this dude is just all rainbows, sunshine. you hear him talk like, yo, this dude is all rainbows and sunshine. Again, the cool thing about what Chris said earlier was, he's one of those, again, few people that he'll make himself vulnerable. He'll open up to you. He'll let you know who he is, let you know what he's about, And one of the things I found out about Chris was, like with a lot of us out there, he has his own mental illness struggles. My father's the same way. So right out the gate, when I found out about that, I'm like, I think I identified with him. I gravitated toward him even more because I saw the struggles my father went through. And I mean, it's not an easy thing. And throughout this podcast, I'm honestly gonna see me hopping back and forth from my computer to different stats and everything, and we're gonna be hearing, Chris's firsthand account of just some of the stuff that that he's had a battle with. And the thing is, man, a cool thing that I've noticed over the years is you never know what anyone's going through, but you also don't want to be a reason that they're going through anything. So for me, that's always been my thing, in dealing with people is, while I may not know what Chris is going through, I do know this. I don't want to be something that contributes to him going through something. So rather than being another cloud in somebody's sky, I mean, why not be sunshine? It's you can't get enough light in a room. So again, and I'll openly admit, a lot of the stuff that I've done here recently, I've really taken a page out of Chris's book because Chris is definitely one of those. So my first question or platform or setup, how we're going to do it, man, I'll just really throw to you. And again, I appreciate you, agreeing to come on. With it being, June, we're at the tail end of June. This is something that I want to make sure that we ended the month off with something strong, something that's really near and dear to my heart, and that's men's mental health. With this being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, I wanted to, bring somebody on that, I won't say struggle, but I will say works on his mental health. Chris puts himself in positions to make sure that, he doesn't test himself. And again, I'll throw back to when I first met him. The Chris that I knew back then versus the Chris I know now is a completely different person. And again, it's about learning who you are, learning your limitations, learning what you're willing to borrow and stuff that you're not willing to bend on. And I think Chris is one of those that, as you'll see, is he just says what he means what he says, and I mean either he rolls with it his way or he doesn't work with it at all. But yeah, man, tell the people just kind of some of your mental struggles, some of the stuff you've been going through, and then I'm just gonna start throwing questions at you.
Well, I'm actually manic depressive. So I was, it's a hereditary. We passed it down from a bunch of family members I won't name. We all basically crazy as fuck. I deal with psychosis, and I have cousins that deal with schizophrenia. They call me. I've been diagnosed as of 2018 with psychotic manic depressive. So I deal with mania pretty much 90% of the time. I don't really have a lot of lows. I do encounter lows, and when they do hit, they're pretty bad. But man, I've dealt with that for years, and before I was diagnosed, it was the struggle of not being diagnosed. So a lot of people would tell me that hey, you need to get checked out. Like, hey, chill, like what's going on with you? Something going on. But you think it's just ADHD, which I was also diagnosed with that when I was 7. So you think it's something, and you spend your whole life taking medicine geared towards something different, just to find out that hey, it's this. Yeah, man, it's difficult. It definitely is hard. I'm also unmedicated. I've decided to go to an unmedicated path because the medicine that I've been given is just entirely too strong for my lifestyle. It drains me of energy, and it just puts me in a rough space. So I don't self-medicate as well anymore. Stick away from anything that will deter me from having my mental clarity.
Right. So was it one of those things just earlier in life? You just did you ever feel like something was off? Did you feel like well, this is just who I am? Like it's not me, it's you type, or
It started literally in first grade. I was diagnosed then with ADHD, so I always had an abundance of energy. Couldn't pay attention, couldn't sit still. So I started off as a Ritalin baby. And once I started making complaints in first grade of basically suicidal thoughts and harming myself, it just kind of kicked off and started that cycle. But the area that we were I was born and raised in Rochester, New York. So it's a relatively, it's a pretty fucked up area. It's pretty rough. It's a beautiful place to come from. I'm proud of it, but there is nothing there. And the emotional intelligence that we have in this time, it wasn't there back then. So of course you just have parents or family members that be like, "Oh, that motherfucker bad."
Yeah, just bad kid, bad. Yeah,
He bad. And so, your mom would say once in a while, "No, he just active." I was one of those.
Yeah.
But I always had a sense of ambition that followed with it. So, with ambition comes a sense of pride as well. So I was pretty independent growing up, but just was always on a streak of messing shit up.
Yeah. It's crazy because when kind of looking back on it, I mean, especially being little boys, man. I mean, it's almost chopped up as like, oh man, this boys will be boys. He's run around, he's crazy, he's bad. I mean, give him a whooping, put him in the corner, what have you, he'll calm down, and here's the thing, which is crazy, is I've got a lot of buddies that I grew up with that were kind of the same way, you know what I mean? Like they end up being Ritalin babies, they end up, in this career, I'm older than you, so I mean, it was one of those things like, man, if this kid has to get on meds, he really, really, you almost really, really had to have some, which is, it's crazy because, again, when I was younger, a lot of these diagnoses didn't exist. You know what I mean? Yeah. There wasn't a lot of especially with younger kids. So you were just a bad kid that was just an ISS and in detention until, and pretty much until you were high school. So by the time you got to high school, you already had this attitude toward, man, I can't stand school. They don't like me. I don't like them. And a lot of it was just a bunch of misunderstood kids that just were either misdiagnosed with their parents, just like, oh man, these just boys will be boys. But at some point, you have to understand, like, you know what, my baby's jumping off the house for no reason. The rest of his friends, they stopped jumping off the house around second, third grade. Why is he still trying to jump off the house? You know what I mean? Like, that part I totally get because I grew up with, between cousins and friends and family and just people just dealing with mental stuff all the time. And back in them days, especially in our community, in the Black community, like, I ain't nothing wrong with them. The boys need a whooping. Ain't nothing wrong with them. Just the boy needs to sleep a little bit. Ain't nothing wrong with them. You know what? Just let me get outside and play. To some degree, it did work. It worked for me, bro, because I was bad, bro. Bad. But yet still, there's a point where I grew out of it, and some people didn't. So, and I never felt like, oh, something was off or anything like that. I never felt like, that I was, that was bad. But I did know, like, there was points I remember telling my sister, I was like, man, I know today I'm gonna get a whooping. I don't know why, but I know I'm gonna get a whooping. I just if I was doing something bad, but eventually, I kind of grew out of it. Was there ever a point where you're like, like, man, I just know I'm gonna do something bad, or it was one of those things where like, bro, I can't help myself.
Man, it honestly, much like now, I usually have to go off of what I've been described as in my immediate vicinity as well. I'm known to be very impulsive. It is the top end of what I experience is impulsivity. I've been known to get in cars and just drive, and next thing you know, I look up, and that's how I actually got to the Million Man March and saw J. Cole. I was like, I had like $500. I got in the car. I was like, I'm going to see it. Drove from here to DC in that one night, and was like, damn, I ain't got enough money to get back.
I can get there, but I can't get back.
So I've always operated in a very impulsive way. I've much since then had to learn to change it to decisiveness.
Absolutely.
So that's been decisiveness. The challenge of everything is relating these negative, these seen as negative attributes and turning them into just assets and the superpowers, you know. So you use your term of decisiveness and you pull the trigger. That's what I do. That's something I'm great at, and I just stick to it, man.
No,
But
that's
it was
something
like,
I can
back
definitely.
then it was like, oh, Chris. I would have these random fits of anger and just burst out because I grew up with a lot of siblings, a lot of cousins too. So all my
Yeah.
cousins were siblings, it's like seven. We would fight. We would all be running in and out of stores with shit. Everybody get in trouble. That was just what we did. So that kind of covered up everything in a moment as well.
Right.
So
You got about it. I mean, I was a bunch of I was in a crowd of crazy. So you know what I mean.
yeah, we're in a crowd of crazy, and many of them also they deal with mental health issues as well. So I have an older cousin, like I said, he's a schizophrenic bipolar. So he's gone through it hard, and he's been a great asset. His name's Darrell. He's been a great asset into me learning how to navigate this because he's in and out of jail. He dropped out early, and he's always just kind of been my go-to. And hey, what do I do next?
Well, I mean, it's harder, especially with the older generation, because there was. It's just weird how many advances I should say we've made in terms of just how much time, finances, but really time has been invested in to understanding, not fixing, but rather understanding mental health, being more aware of mental health, and really mental health actually becoming a priority. It's just crazy. I mean, in the last 10, 15 years, especially the last 10 years, the term mental health, is actually become a thing. It wasn't necessarily a thing before.
It's transformed.
It was especially
the act of going to therapy that used to be like an unknown.
The stigma behind going to a therapist. Oh, you going to a shrink? Nigga, you crazy. No, man, that dude got problems, bro. Like, nah, he goes to a counselor, and I think a lot of it just had to do with lack of understanding. When you don't understand something, it's easy to kind of brush it off and or just label it something, to dumb it down, to minimize it so that it doesn't make you feel uncomfortable. Because I'll be 100 with you. If there's somebody that's around me back in the day when I really just wasn't not necessarily educated on it, because it's not like I'm thoroughly versed and educated on the subjects of mental health. I mean, because it's such a broad spectrum. But when I wasn't as, I guess, aware or keen to it, I was uncomfortable around it. I was uncomfortable around somebody that was like labeled, oh man, they have mental issues. Because it wasn't bad mental health, it was they had mental issues. You had issues. And so that alone gives it a negative connotation. Yeah. Because because you base off anything you've seen or heard, it's like, oh man, this dude's gonna fly off. He's gonna fly off the handle at any given point in time. That dude could kill you, bro. Like, oh, that guy's criminally insane. He's pleading insanity. So I mean, a lot of people had, and I know I associated, mental health with insanity, which could be
a lot of people did.
You know what I mean? And so
it wasn't help in early film when they first started covering more topics in that nature. So it was always sent across as something negative. Oh, this motherfucker crazy. They'll bite you. It's some crazy shit.
And it's weird now because I mean I look back on it and I'm like, was there ever at a point where I was probably in the same room, sitting right next to a person that was dealing with something mentally, man, and I was just so blind to the fact. I was too busy focusing on my own stuff or like labeling somebody crazy. Or, what, they were probably cries for help right in front of my face. And I never saw it because I was too busy, looking for the big signs. It's the one thing I have noticed over the years, especially with my dad and deal with people that do have mental illnesses, that do struggle mentally, in particular cases, is it's not something that happens. It's not like a long stretch. Sometimes it can be a long stretch, but it's not like they're having like this crazy fit where you just see it and it's this big bright neon sign right in front of you, like, oh, like look at me, I'm going, you know what I mean? Like it's not one of those things where I'm going crazy. Right. It can some when I mean some, there's a lot, thousands to millions even that suffer in silence, for lack of a better term, because they don't have anyone to talk to, and or people aren't eyes aren't open enough and they're not educated enough to see, like, you know what, this person's suffering, or people don't feel comfortable enough to talk about it. And I know, it's probably, I know I kind of caught you off guard when I asked you to talk about it. It doesn't mean like, hey, what? You know what I mean? I'm like, nah. But for me, my biggest thing is there might be somebody out there that can identify what you're saying. There's something that you might say that resonates with someone. There's somebody out there that, what, they're probably like, oh, dude, he did what? Like, you know what, my kid's doing it. And or I'm doing that right now. Man, maybe I should go get, talk to somebody. Maybe I should get checked on.
I've always told myself that given the opportunity to speak, I'll never shut it down because of that.
Right.
I didn't have the information at one point, and I went through a period in life where so many people turned their backs on me when they figured it out. When they found out, it just changed. It completely uprooted my life in many ways, as well as me uprooting myself for the betterment. But I told myself if I'm ever given the opportunity to speak, no matter how much I hate being on camera, no matter how much I hate my voice.
You like being behind the camera, but not in front of it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I think that's, one, is brave of you. Two, it's a generous thing. Because again, a lot of people don't know. I say it a lot, like, you don't know that you don't know until you realize you don't know. Like, bro, I didn't know that I didn't know what was going on. And a cool thing, and I referred to it a lot in previous podcasts about, like, our group of friends that, our group message and we talk and everything, it might be the most positive, while it was a bunch of fools in it. It might be the most positive outlet in terms of just getting anything off your chest. A group of responsible men that, it's one thing to be vulnerable with one person, but when you're able to be vulnerable with, 5 or 6 dudes, and, people that could very well, it's so weird saying it, like, people that could very well take what you said and rip you apart with it. I think we've done a really good job about, really taking care of each other's feelings, holding each other accountable, mentally, making sure that everyone's good. And it's just weird because it'll come out of nowhere. It's just like, we'll just be cracking jokes about, hey man, so you good? Everybody good? All right, cool. It's one let your boys know I love you, and then we'll go back to cracking jokes on each other. God knows if this group chat ever got out, we're toast. We're toast.
My career is over.
All of us. We may as well just go on and just get a house together because we're all gonna be unemployed. Talk about, again, in the obviously from your perspective, man. Talk about, like, what it's been like over the last, I want to say 2 or 3 years, man, being able to, just have I call it an unofficial outlet, where it doesn't necessarily have to be a professional that you're dealing with, but just a group of people that make a point. Because I will say this, man, our group of friends, they make a point to understand each other. We don't always agree. Woo, Lord Jesus, we don't always agree.
And then if we don't agree, we're still gonna allow that other person to be heard and finish.
Yeah, man. Like, it's what's that been like, being able to have an unofficial outlet of just couch potato counselors?
I will say, in therapy, the number one thing that they always tell you in situations like these is to have a support system.
Mm-hmm.
So beforehand, coming to your group, I didn't have one. I was kind of raw dog in the world. It was me, my kids, Kirsten, and I was actually just coming on I was just on the backside of a very, very bad episode. So I had a manic episode last 3 months, cost me my job. I was indoors. I was doing all kind of crazy shit that's probably really explicit. But in transforming into now, this group has been my biggest saving grace. Like, I don't think you guys even notice or understand really what it means to me to have so many people in one place that I can rely on. Man, it's just, I get the opportunity to express myself, my emotions.
Yeah.
I can see you guys. I can lift with y'all. I can so many opportunities of bonding and feeling accepted, it helps. I mean, I've had people look at me and say, I like Fun Chris when I'm down. I can't be around you right now. I like Fun Chris. I've heard that because I'm a blast. I'm that nigga. So it's like, I'm fun as hell.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be accepted when I'm not fun.
Yeah.
It's nice to be treated the same way consistently. To where my dog died not too long ago.
Yeah. Bro, listen.
Don't work out the meat. I don't want you waking up next to your dog. I love that shit.
Yeah. Now that one,
I'm tough. I don't want to be coddled. I don't want to be treated as if you're gonna be sick, and that's something that it's honestly changed my life.
Yeah. I think we've all voiced that in a bunch of different ways, a bunch of different times. Everyone will have a moment. I think everyone up to this point has had a moment where they just y'all, I just want to let y'all know I really appreciate y'all. You know what I mean? I think me being an old head, I was there watching, I see everyone's progression, like, yo, hey, y'all.
When I came to you, I was drinking at every meet.
Yeah, man.
Majority of the time. I put the bottle down. I started dieting. I started taking lifting serious. I was able to get inspired by Darrington, Marcus, Greg, Reggie, Ian, Ty. You know what I'm saying? I was Xavier. I was able to get inspired and see the emotional vulnerability that you guys also had. Man, I watched you cry 30 times.
Bro, you already know. I've been crying, dude. Like, the one thing, man, that I can't necessarily I don't think that men, people in general, but I would say men in particular understand is, I mean, one, it's okay to cry, and people say it all the time, man. But like to say it, but actually live it and do it, are two different things. Honestly, I think the big thing, absolutely. And again, I only speak for myself. I try not to speak for other people, but to allow yourself to be fully committed to emotion, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, the only time I notice that we as men, especially, American men, especially American black men, we allow ourselves to be overwhelmed and overcome with emotion, and we key into emotion completely is when it was with sport. For some reason, we allow sport to bring the best out of us. When we're on a team of some sport, or, especially a football team, you will tell a man that you barely know that if you saw him on the side of the street, you probably wouldn't say a word to him. You tell him dead to his face, I love you. You'll cry for your teammates. Your teammate scores, or if your lineman gets a pancake block or whatever, you'll shed tears over a game. But then when it comes to real life situations, for some reason, like, hey, you got to toughen up. I've tried to make it one of those, at least my space around being around me is like, hey, man, it's okay to be fully invested, fully overcome with emotion, fully overwhelmed with emotion, because that's what makes you a human being. And it's one thing to tell somebody that you're proud of them, but when you're so proud of a person that, the words can't describe it, bro, all I got is tears, bro. You know what I mean? I am. And I also want people to feel comfortable around me enough to be like, hey, bro, dude he just cares enough that I'll shed a tear, bro. If you're killing it, I'll shed a tear. You know what I mean? Like, if you PR, I'm gonna shed a tear. Anybody that knows me knows that, oh, bro, that nigga, he gonna cry. One thing about LS, he's gonna cry.
Crazy part is, like, when in going through this, I've learned to vet people and be very observant. Mm-hmm. And my sense of discernment when it comes to people, I say is top notch, it's flawless. So
that's big facts.
It's I have to really vet my surroundings, because I've been pulled down. I pull others down. I don't want to be a danger to anyone else or myself.
Right.
Because I know when I get going, shit can get too far sometimes. That's the basis of taking care of myself. So in seeing you operate in this way and feeling the authenticity, I've seen people manipulate with tears. That's not you. You know what I'm saying? Like, he gonna let it loose. That's not you. I've seen, even at your wedding, watching Greg cry. That shit was beautiful. I told Kirsten, I was like, man, that shit was life changing. I've never seen anything like that. And I was like, man, that shit was like
that dude. I'm gonna tell you, dog. Someone about to cry right now. Bro, people, you get people in your life, man, that just care.
Yeah.
You know, and it was weird because like I don't even know that I even cried that much in my own wedding, to be honest with you. I just was so happy having everybody there. I think I cried more at watching people's like authentic emotion with everyone else. Man, because you never really know. It was cool because even my lady was like, man, you have a good set of friends. Like I do, don't I really, really do. You know, I had, and I mean, it was not like it was cheap to get to Tulum. You know what I mean? So I don't blame anybody that couldn't make it, bro. But I had just as many friends as I had family there.
Yeah.
And that blew me away. So, bro, I literally, I ain't joking. She said that. I'm like, yeah, man, you're right. Went to the bathroom, bro. I was crying ugly tears, bro. Because I was just, you're so grateful. And man, you want to be surrounded with people that that you not only feel safe, but that you feel that want to see you be successful as you want them to be. And it took me, bro. It took me you're 40, 41 of my life to finally find a group of dudes that's like, nah, man, I want you to be successful. I want to be successful. And I know you want me to be successful. Let's do it together. And we just slowly started adding people to when there was a group, it was just a couple of us. We started adding people, man, it was like, man, let's add Chris. But Chris crazy. But I know, dog, trust me, Chris is hilarious. Man, you gotta know, it just started going crazy. I'm like, golly. And it took him a little bit, man. And I think after like a month, they're like, dog, Chris is crazy. This dude is hilarious. And then like slowly but surely you kind of started, just kind of letting your guard down and just, I mean, not that your guard was ever up, but I mean, I think you've like, this is a safe space. These dudes is good. And you start telling us, yeah, man, these are my mental issues, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then in my head, I'm like, damn, man, my daddy did with that. That's okay. Okay. That's, and so in dealing with you, and really it's crazy because anybody that has a solid group chat, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You talk to these people all day, every day. Every day. And it's sometimes, man, I don't even have anything to say. I just go and I just start reading everything. You know what I mean? I read, you know what I mean? And if I feel like it's funny, I'm going to put a ha, a couple of laugh faces, and that's it. I ain't going to lie. Sometimes I just look from far and let Darrington cuss me out for no reason. I'm like, what's this dude doing? I ain't going to answer. I'm just going to keep reading. But that's been the coolest thing, man. Like with just with people like Greg, because I know Greg. I said, at one point I was chasing all the records that Greg had set. I was like, we can't be friends. You know what I mean? I knew he was a good dude. I knew he was a smart guy. Which is again, I don't like taking credit for that group, but I'm gonna take credit for the group because there's nobody in that group that is not a very strong, physically strong, but intelligent, educated man that. When asked at any given point, like that can break down anything that you give them in their specific area of expertise and sound like a professor. And I don't think that happens by accident. And I like the fact that, and again, it's not a knock to anyone else. I like that it's a bunch of strong, educated black men because before I just didn't have a lot of black men that I talked to. I didn't grow up in a place that had a bunch of black people. It just was what it was. I used to tell myself, man, I really want to be around a bunch of black dudes that I can really identify with, but that opportunity never really presented itself until here of late. Doing this, man, it has been amazing because it's done a lot for me, for my self pride, my self worth, and for my mental health. Talking and being around you, when you're talking about your mental health and your mental well-being and, how you vet people and everything, I'm like, man, maybe I should work harder at the people I surround myself with. And I swear to you, bro, I remember we talked about that. Everybody's putting their 2 cents in, man. That was running around the time I was doing my little whatever. And I remember, they don't even get energy no more. But I remember, I was like, you know what, bro? If they can do it, I can do it. If Chris can do it, I can do it. Like, you know what, man? There ain't no coming back. There ain't no mending this and that. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go cold turkey, bro, and I'm gonna surround myself with some people that are trying to get it. And that changed everything for me, bro. Like any bad thing I've gone through up to this point, it's just like water off a duck's back. I'm like, man, I mean, it's gonna get better. Or I just like, I'm gonna holler at the boys and tell them what's going on. And I feel like you're a big part of that in the sense that you've had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. You know what I mean? And everywhere in between. So there's a lot of that physical, not physical, that mental spectrum that many of us haven't had to deal with. And so you're able to identify and really kind of help us steer us in the right direction. And I don't know. I mean, is that something that you've always just, I don't say you've always had, but something that you always kept in the back of your mind? Like, you know what, when given the opportunity to help people, I'm going to make sure that, I try to steer these people in this direction. Or it's just one of those things where it kind of naturally happened with you. Like, I can just help because I've gone through it.
Say it's a mixture of um my innate personality is always a person that's a pleaser. I'm always down to help. I'm always wanting to see others succeed. I've hit certain levels of success in my life, and I got to those points, and not only was it lonely at times, but it just wasn't rewarding as seeing other people,
That's
take and do what they do. I actually the initial brand for my photography company when I first started it back in 2016 was called Yellow Rose Imagery, and it was the idea of having a brand that was centered around bringing the spotlight on people that were doing something within their dreams.
right.
So I've always wanted to serve people in that manner, but with years of therapy and then having my own traumas and failures and even the way I grew up, it kind of added to it. It boosted that character and my personality. Now that we're adults, I'm kind of tucked off in my bubble. Back before, we in the hood, I was everywhere, always doing stuff, always, everybody. So it was different. I was always seen or always trying to be seen or trying to be in people's face and people be in my face. You know what I'm saying? But now, as a grown ass man, it's like none of that shit is necessary no more. So I'm able to really flourish in providing. I love to provide. As much as I get tired of these fucking kids in here, I love to provide. I'm surprised somebody not knocking on the door now. It is really in my spirit to give.
Right.
And I mean, my family, we do humanitarian. My fiance, she's a director for a nonprofit that builds homeless homes and boys and girls clubs, and is my kids are into it. It's just a spirit of a giver, man. I want to see everybody do good. This shit. It's hard enough out here, and after being in psych wards and going through battles with drugs or even shit, my police record, even in seeing that, I don't want nobody to go through bullshit.
Yeah.
Not in my vicinity. If I can make a difference or help somebody, that's always going to be my first option.
Yeah, man. I can honestly tell you for somebody that firsthand experiences, like just like you have such a loving, caring heart, you do have a very, very giving spirit. It's the one thing I can say about you that you have this gift of making sure that it doesn't have to be the standard; it has to be your standard, and that's been something I've tried to work on, man, and it's hard to not necessarily not care what people think, but to value your opinion and value your skill and value your commitment to whatever a particular project, whatever a particular deadline, whatever it is, but to value your commitment to it so much that they can have their standard, but their standard is not my standard. My standard is higher. My standard is gonna reap something far much better than what they're standard. Like I don't want the bare minimum. You are one of the best at creating your standard, sticking with your standard, surpassing what the standard is to make sure that you give the utmost best of whatever it is that you do. And again, like I said, man, having that group that we have, I read from everybody's book, man. But I mean, I think the coolest thing about having you on is the fact that you are one of those type of people that you are so multifaceted, so multi-layered, so multi-talented, but yet still doesn't matter really what you do. As a Renaissance man of sorts, you don't you don't drop the ball. You don't the quality never dips off. And again, I guess, I mean, you're never really going to know about a person presently unless you dig into their past. So I guess it's going to lead to the next question. Is that how you've always been in terms of, your commitment to a certain quality in your head? Is that something that's worked over time, or is that something that's, a part of your personality?
I think honestly, as funny as it sounds, that comes with the bipolar. It's like I have tunnel vision.
Right.
So oftentimes, I mean, like a really, really bad tunnel vision. Like, I thank my fiance for being so patient with me, because there's moments where I'm not even affectionate as a person. I will be touched, or because I'm focused on a video, or I'm focused on lifting, or I'm focused on, hey, well, baby, I'm trying to get your meal plan right, trying to get this together, or I'm trying to. It's things with me. I start and I finish, and it's also been my saving grace, because to me that's this shit keeps me lit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I have to move, we're gonna move in a day. I'm gonna stay up and I'm gonna move.
What I'm gonna be locked in.
Yeah. I start and I don't quit, and it's got me great places. It's got me. It's led to a lucrative lifestyle. It's led to great connections, and I'm thankful for that. But it has not always been that way. It took me getting passionate about certain things that I honestly see as what keeps me here. It's my tether to the world. When I'm creating and I'm trying to make something for a client or customer, or even if I'm studying for something that I can create, I'm taking it serious, because to me it feels like the reason I'm here. I've had moments where I didn't have self-worth, self-value, even with my kids at certain times. Man, I've got full custody of my son. He's been with me the whole time. There were times where I felt like I was better off outside of his life because I didn't have much to offer.
Right.
And it took me really falling in love with parenting, falling in love with many different aspects of life, and really spearheading it. So if the shit fall in my lane, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do it right. I'm gonna do my best to give full force effort, and it may not be the quality or standard that everybody else has, like you said, but you're gonna know I bled over it. I gave everything that I have available to make the best product that I could, and it's gonna improve. It's gonna get better.
I like that. I like that. It's gonna get better. So you talked about, not, obviously with your projects, with your passions, with your being, your contributions to, to this world that we live in. Like that's part of your tether to this world that we live in. I mean, if you can, I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't want to prod and push.
No, we here.
What are those moments like? When you don't feel like being tethered to this world. What are those moments like? Those moments of suicidal thinking. Because again, there's a lot of us that don't know what that feels like. There's a lot of us that actually we may have had these feelings and had no clue that that's not uncommon. Take us, if you can, through kind of that feeling, that process, really.
Say, like I said, it goes to having a sense of not having any value. So there are moments there are moments sometimes weekly that I deal with where I go through a low and I hit a slump and the energy is low. And I'll lose all passion for life. I'll lose all understanding for things around me. I become very irritable.
Yeah.
And I just have to check myself. But man, I just I see it a lot actually. I see people go through periods where they start to express emotionally publicly. I did a lot of public thinking out loud back in the past where some people take it as, oh, they're trying to get attention, but really those are the cries for help that people often look at. You know, anytime I see somebody going through something online where they might just say, fuck this shit, I'm over it, I just check on them.
Yeah.
You know, it's the hardest thing to do, but it's really hard to describe that sense of depressive bout, you know. It just feels like you're empty and you're on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
You hit a snag and you don't feel the people around you. You don't feel the warmth. And in those moments, I just tell myself and remember, like, hey, this is just today.
Yeah.
This is the moment. You know, it comes with this is the moment. That's why I think I prioritize everybody going to going to therapy. And actually, if you think you have something, the best thing you can always do is go and find out if you do.
Right.
You know, go and be sure, because the acceptance of accepting myself as a bipolar male, I'm able to be rooted in that and say, hey, this is my identity. This is where we start. You can't work if you don't have, foundation. You can't keep striving to beat something you don't know exists or you haven't accepted yet. So once I did, it became a lot easier to understand, like, hey, this is my body.
Right.
You know,
the one while you were kind of talking about that, you brought up a good point as far as if you feel like you have something, I mean, it doesn't hurt to go get checked. It doesn't hurt to
never does
talk to somebody. I think people forget. I mean, I literally just typed in mental health services, and I know in Texas, they're free mental health services. There's not a lot of things in this life that are free. Mental health services is one of those things where, you don't even really have to look super, super hard. You can almost Google free mental health services. I mean, there's online therapists you can talk to. There's therapists you can call. There's therapists you can set an appointment with. You can see face to face. But yet still, there are opportunities. There are resources out there that are free 99 that you can go and you can get help with. The thing, I guess,
finding out in a fucking psych ward when it's late.
Yeah,
you already got the yellow sticky socks on and shit.
Yeah. I do want to ask you about when you are in one of those lows, you know what I mean, and when you are in a depressive state, is there ever a point, a time? I mean, because again, I don't know. It's one of those things where, in order for you to get out of that state, you have to bring yourself out. Or is there ever a point where, like, somebody can say something to you like, hey man, I know you may not be feeling the best right now, bro. I know you probably whatever. I mean, is there ever something that someone else can do and or say to help you get out of that state? Or is that one of those things where I got to pull myself up by my bootstraps and get myself out of this feeling?
A bit of both. I'll say I've learned to be a lot more vocal. That's where the sense of vulnerability came from. My therapist taught me that being vulnerable allows me to communicate more effectively and help people understand when I am going through moments.
Right.
So I understand when I'm triggered, and I understand there are moments where energy gets too high and I don't know what's going on, but I do feel what leads up to those moments. So what keeps me in line is that pulling myself up by the bootstraps is proper rest.
Yeah.
diving into my routine and becoming back strict on myself. You know, maybe I veered too far from the path and had a little bit too much fun,
Right.
and it's time to be brought back to my stable senses.
Right.
You know, but I'm always vocal with my family members. Anybody I get checked on, like I said, that support system and what you guys offer has, it was like the missing piece for me as well, because I wasn't always just relying on my fiance or my mother. You know, it gave me men to socialize with. You know, so having people that I can identify with, that understand me as a friend, that
Right.
choose to care about me, helps. You know, y'all don't have to fuck with me. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but that's, I mean, the thing is, it's the same way. I mean, that road goes both ways. I definitely feel like it's definitely refreshing to be with a group of men that can help you get back to baseline. Because I know I use y'all all the time for baseline. I think my biggest, for at least for me, some of my biggest moments of like, bro, I need these dudes is really when we're, you know, if I'm in the middle of a cut, I'm sitting in that heat, bro. I hate it. You know, I mean, you know, I'm gonna be in this. I'm gonna be in this thing for 2 hours, extreme heat for 2 hours. I've literally been in the same. This no joke. I've been in the same cut with two or three other people, and they back out. I'm like, dog, why y'all just staying there? Like, man, I don't need, because you're by yourself. You feel like you're by yourself. Nothing feels lonelier. I mean, I'm sure there's things out there, but in the middle of a water cut and you're trying to cut those last 2 or 3 pounds and it's not falling off. Easy thing to do was like, man, screw this, I'm out of here. And I'll be hitting your boy, hey man, it's hot in here, bro. We'll let y'all boys know, man. I'm thinking about y'all boys, man. Hey man, drink some water for you, boy, one time. I'm in that old dying. And again, always, I mean, throwing back to Greg, I had a pretty bad cut a couple years back, and Greg was already under. Greg took his gallon of water and sat there in that heat with me. And we were already in Arizona, and I'm like, bro, I couldn't even believe it. There is something to be said about a group of people that just want to see you be successful. And I feel like a lot of it, I know for me personally, I feel like when you're successful, that's a reflection on me, because I made that choice to befriend you, you know what I mean? And you made the choice to befriend me. If you eat, I eat. If I eat, you eat. There's no such thing as one eating and getting their belly full and everybody else starving. Like, who does that? Who's out here thriving, bro? And then you see a man out there suffering and you don't want to help him? That's why.
Yeah, I've been so used to having connections that were solely based on competition and being with each other, and being with each kind of like by convenience. You know, it was all the wrong types of connections that I had surrounded myself in. So
I feel like people see what. So I think people start seeing what you can do and what you can bring to their life. What can I get out of this?
Yes, they start seeing your surroundings. They start seeing what you accomplished, what you're capable of. Oh, I'm gonna attach myself to this person.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride this dude. And the thing is, here's the thing, bro. But you gotta. Everybody's. It's part I don't get is everyone. Everyone has their own boat, bro.
Yep.
Everyone has their own boat. And we all have the same sail. We all have the same 24 hours. That wind that blows for me is gonna blow for you. You know what I mean? Like, it may blow for me a little bit stronger because I've worked on make my sail a little bit bigger. But you still got your own sail. You know what I mean? Like, and here's the crazy thing. Like, if you're winning right now, and I'm taking L's, you know what I mean? You see me taking L's. Like, hey man, let me help you get a couple dubs. I mean, man, you know what, bro? Just attach to my boat. I'll pull you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We can work on your sail. You might got a couple holes in it, whatever. But some people will solely. This is a horrible analogy. But they will totally drop their sails and let you tow them all the way. They'll ride your wake the whole way. And then when they get to what they want to get, they detach. I appreciate it. I did it on my own. I'm going to holler at you. Like, what are we talking about here?
That's the curse of ambition.
You know what I mean? So, but the thing that and you're spot on. I feel like a lot of it has to do with some people do not have that drive, do not have that want to be something special. So they'll attach themselves to something they feel is special. And, either when the ride gets a little too stiff, a little too rough, or when, when they hit a point where like, hey man, this is foreign territory. I'm not sure that I want to I can do this. I mean, you know, but they're gonna let you take the hit for it. Like, all right, I'm gonna be back if you eat me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah. Let me know how it go.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and then they want to come with their plates out. Like, nah, bro, like if your plate went out at the beginning, you're gonna starve on this one. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I can't be the preparer and the cook. If somebody gotta do something.
Yeah.
I do I think again, and that helps, you know, in terms of my appreciation for what you in particular bringing to the table, because you know what I mean, you know your talents, you know your weaknesses, and rather than sulk on the weaknesses that you have, you work on your weaknesses. That's one thing I have to give you props for. You work on your weaknesses, and again, it's not like you know, I mean, they're just going to become strengths overnight, but you don't dwell on the fact that I got these weaknesses. I'm gonna chill on.
Yeah.
You work on your weaknesses, and again, like I said, and I laid a cut and kind of watch it, bro. If he can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? I might not be able to do that in a degree, but I mean, if he can do it, I can do it. If he can work on his mental health, his mental well being, I can do it.
I
And
think
some people easily.
after establishing once after establishing everything's life or death for me. That's the way I started to view it, and now it's peace or death. You know, it's literally like I've experienced and tasted peace, and the shit is sweet. It is amazing. It is. I hit this pocket where it is completely peaceful. I walk and smile. I'm comfortable all the time. And if it detours from that shit, oh, I'm out of here.
I gotta go. Yeah, we talk. You know, but it's funny because we talked about that in the group. Like, man, you get to a point, bro, where you just feel good. Like, you know what I mean? You ain't got to be the richest man in the world, bro, but you got a family that loves you. You know what I mean? You know, you got a family that loves you. You got people that depend on you. You got, you know, people that care for you. Bro, you wake up every day like, bro, I knew something was different. I knew that at least with my mental health that I was in a better place when I just was like, bro, I get to live this life. You know what I mean? And that was for me. I've always felt blessed. Don't get me wrong, man. I
It
ain't gonna
shocks you.
But there's some days I will wake up like, bro, I get to live this life. I literally get to wake up. I do what I want when I want. You know what I'm saying? I got a family that loves me. You know what I mean? Like I finally found a church home. Bro, that changed everything for me again. And everyone's journey is different in terms of mental health. But for me, my big piece of my mental health, my mental peace was, you know, my understanding that I feel more comfortable having a church home, having a place to worship, having a place to raise my little one in. Because I mean, you know, I was raised in the church, but it wasn't one of those things where it was inherited faith. It was my faith. You know,
Right.
and surely it started becoming more and more a part of me. And the more your faith becomes a part of you, the more you realize, like, hey, man, I really got to lean into this. And I felt like the more I leaned into it, the better people I was getting, the better my business was doing. You know, the more I could commit to as a coach. Man, bro, I ain't even gonna lie to you. I know most coaches dread Sunday. They dread that day, dog, because that's check-in day. That's my favorite day of the week. If I can see how my people are doing, you know what I mean? These people that I'm not only am I programming for, I'm making, you know, answering emails and stuff for, but I've been praying over these same people. And I get to see, like, you know what, how did my prayer come answer this week? I also get to go to church, have a good time there, come off a God high almost, work on these programs, like, you know, in the spirit almost feels like, and I'm not as heated. I used to be like, here we go. This nigga gonna complain about this and this, you know what I mean? And I feel like, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's bled over because I think even in my emails when I answer y'all, I feel like my emails are more like, yeah, bro, let's go, let's get it. And when I send that program, bro, I'll be hyped. I'll be so hyped. I'm like, dog, we about to kill him with this one. This is gonna be the one. You know what I mean? I feel like everyone is gonna be the one, man. But you know, in my head, I see where I want everybody to be. I want everybody to be hoisting that trophy over their head. How can I get them there? You know?
I wish I can't wait for the day for more people to see the inner workings of what you have created. Because I mean, you can even in the main group where we branched off from, you can even see in that group, it's just love. It's a bunch of loving people, a bunch of people that love to work with
Yeah,
you, and you've made yourself personable to a point where it's friendships. It's
yeah.
not fucking,
I tell you what we did, bro, and it ain't even me. It's not me. I promise. I prayed on it. That's all God. But I tell you what we did do. We made a community, fool. That's what we did. We made something that was bigger than us, and
Absolutely.
and even no, I'm saying like, and I can't, I can't take half the credit for it, bro. I mean, it's a lot of prayer, a lot of time went into it. Um, but it's just people believing in the vision, bro. Like, I've seen greatness, I've been around greatness, and I don't have a lot of skills. I really don't. But one of the skills I do feel like I possess is I may not be the greatest, bro, but I can show you how to be great. I've been around enough great people, enough people that are willing to work, enough people that are willing to sacrifice it. I might not be the dude, but I can put you with the dude that get you there. I can give you the tools that can get you there. I can point you in the direction to get you there. Because I've worked on it, I prayed on it. I mean, I've devoted my life up to this point to, chasing greatness, either directly or indirectly, but, through somebody else. And the fact that we have such a supportive group, and here's a crazy thing, y'all. This is not even a group chat. This is a completely separate group. There's people there that I coach currently, that I used to coach, that don't want to leave the group because they don't want to leave that support. And that part, I love that more than anything. Like, you tell me that, hey, you know what, man, I don't necessarily need coaching anymore. I don't think I'm gonna be lifting like that. All right, well, cool. But can I stay in the group though? I don't know, man. I mean, until we run out of room, you know what I mean? And so I've had to. There's a lot of people that I picked up that ain't even in the group.
Yeah.
Because we don't have room. But I don't have a heart to take some of these people out because some of them still contribute. Some of them just it's their safe space. So I think you guys are the ones I really got to thank for it because, like, bro, I come in there, hey, yo, I got something to say, and then like, all right, what are you gonna say? Here we go. I'll say my little piece, and then y'all get the. Hey guys, we got a new one here. Y'all welcome, blah blah blah. All right, cool. And then by the time those new people catch up, like, damn, I just had like 80 different notifications. You know what I mean? But the type of group that we have is like, I feel like everyone's just waiting for somebody to say something. Oh, okay, then blah blah blah. And again, that's something that you guys have created. That's something that we collectively have made that, that contributes to our mental health, that contributes to our mental well-being, that gives us something to look forward to, that gives us something to thrive within. I won't hold you longer. I got a few more questions for you, bro. But I wanna I'm gonna ask you this, and honestly, this is gonna be something that I'm gonna start asking in all the podcasts. Um, what's something that makes you happy? That's the question. That's it. What's something that makes you happy?
I'm gonna leave the kids out of this because Austin, but we're gonna move forward.
Yeah.
I don't play no favoritism today. But something that makes me genuinely happy. Something that makes me genuinely happy. Art. I mean, I love the freedom of expressing myself in some type of manner. I used to draw growing up, and it was something that would keep me. It was the only thing that kept me sitting down for hours. And eventually, I found that camera, and it just took off. And I just love that. It gave me the ability to just look at things and observe in a different light, a different manner. You see, if it's films, I'm breaking down color gradings. I'm looking at old types of shooting styles and techniques, and I'm breaking different stuff down. That is a true passion that I really have. That and it's just being able to communicate creatively with people.
Yes. You can do that. Woo. This dude.
That is something that it's just another thing. Like I said, it's like, they have pillars that keep you still inside mental health.
Yeah.
You have to have a physical outlet. You have to have a creative outlet. You have to have a good support systems, and you have to have a routine. So within all of this, I've just been able to find the perfect balance between these things, and that shit has kept me going so far to the point where that last fifth element, which would be medication, I don't need it. I'm able to find this area where I'm able to be myself. I'm able to creatively express myself. You help me gain the ability to physically express myself every day. I'm just happy. I'm happy.
Hey, I can't even. I can't even hate on that. I like that, bro. Like, yeah, I kept saying, like, man, I want to ask something different than my normal 3 questions. So I think that I like that. I like that. Like, what makes you happy? I mean, because
That's it.
honestly, man, if you can't, people are great at saying what makes them unhappy. Shit, I can rattle off a list of
Oh,
something.
hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You ask them what makes you
I would just love, I've always loved to see people's passions, like the
absolutely.
passion that it takes to be a lifter. I like to see when people like, fuck man, I love to cook. I can't get enough of that shit, or
Yeah.
music, or whatever it is. It's just interesting to see. I think that's a good question. That's a good keeper right there. What make you happy?
That one. All right, we go on to the next question. So now we have question 2. All right. If you were stuck on an island, what are 3 things you would take with you?
Keep it from getting too explicit. Hey, I always said if you can get some, you can live in a box. So I have to say, I need my fiance. I'll take my camera. I'll take my camera. And is it chicken on the island?
Huh? Is what on the what?
Is it chicken on the island?
I mean, it can be whatever. It's just a
They have chicken on the island. I'm gonna bring some peanut oil because that's me right there. That's it.
Okay.
Chicken, a woman, and my camera. Or that's about it. That's all I need.
Okay. All right. Okay. In question 3, yeah, one more after this. Question 3 is, who is on your Rushmore? It could be lifters, it could be just people throughout your life, but who would be on your Rushmore? J. Cole, that's cool. You can put Cole on there.
He said, J. Cole, boy, man, so disappointing lately.
Cole the GOAT, bro. Forever and ever.
So disappointing lately. On my Rushmore. That's 4 people, right?
Yeah.
Rushmore. 4 people. Okay. That's 4 people. So honestly, 4 people. She don't get enough credit, I swear. My fiance Kirsten is definitely going up there.
Okay.
That is my biggest asset. That is most loving partner. This is the first and one of the only. If I didn't trust her, I wouldn't trust you.
I feel that.
Nobody. It's the only person on this planet that I have trusted, and it just opened the door. This motherfucker's changed my life.
Absolutely.
And it just opened the door. Changed my life. And I wouldn't do it any better if I didn't give it to my kids, man. I used to be really attached to, outside, like, what other people can do.
Yeah.
But outside, like, now as an adult, I'm so encompassed with what I want, what I can do. Like, I'm like, fuck that. Now I've gotten a new level of competition where I don't care what none of y'all can do.
Exactly.
But these kids, they blow my mind, man. It's Chloe, DJ, and Austin. I'm so enamored with what they may be capable of, and I'm seeing these things. Chloe's a little scholar. DJ's a future athlete. He's got a great personality. He's got a spirit that I never had.
DJ's
Yeah, I mean, you get that boy some money, and you got to stop him from giving it to homeless people, or you got to, he's always wanting to help. He's always been subservient, and he's a fighter. And my little baby Austin, man, she is just the feistiest little fucking fireball I've ever seen. And it's hilarious, but she's adorable. It's like I see so many different things that I know they're going to become great people, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's fire, bro. That's fire.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun. I really don't give parenting as much credit as I should, or I don't give it the respects that it deserves. But I worked really hard to be in my son's life and make sure we had a steady connection, because I wanted to offer him the good things that I did have to offer. You know, I didn't want him ruined, or not to say that he would have been ruined. I didn't want him to miss out on what I did have to give.
Right.
And I know the sense of ambition that I could provide mixed with what he's just his personality. They're going to take off. It's going to be something so far beyond what I can even imagine.
That's awesome, man. Now, I mean, you know, and I think that's something to, tip your, tip my hat to you on. I mean, just to 100% dive into parenting, to 100% dive into being a father. It's not easy.
They know what I deal with, and just like you guys are my support system, there's times where I can't even walk around this house without, hey, Dad, you okay? You need anything? And that's coming from my daughter and my son, and they know when to offer up affection. They know when their companionship is needed. They're aware. I mean, they've actually inspired me. I'm working on a children's book to help explain mental illness to kids.
That's
yeah, it's in the workings. I'm looking forward to it. That's been a secret, but I wanted to share that with you and everybody else. I'm working on that to explain mental illness and different types of aches that people go through, and how to navigate it for kids, so that it can better process their households. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that's a tough time. That's a tough time for any kid. Because I mean, they're in the process of the maturation process themselves, and they're trying to figure out their own feelings and everything. But they're also trying to navigate, hey, why is mom and daddy acting this way? Why are they feeling this way? The one thing that I never forget is how perceptive, how intuitive, and just how emotionally intelligent kids really, really are.
Absolutely.
And they may not be able to communicate it how we can communicate it, but they understand. They overstand. And a lot of times they want to help. Sometimes they don't know how to help. But they do know that, they know when mom and daddy's off. They know when granny and grandpa's off. They know when aunt and uncle, something's off with them. And sometimes they may not know how to voice that. But just like with any person in general, sometimes just being around, offering just love in general, sometimes that's all you can do.
Yep.
And kids at the very just bare bones basics, they were going to offer you love. They're always going to be able to offer you love. So that's definitely something that I gotta tip the hat to the kiddos on, because because a lot of times I think they see it before you see it.
Yeah, they sense everything, man. It's amazing, and I'm thankful for it, because they're strong. They took up the time, and they're at the age where they took up the time to learn on their own, and they assist. They try to make things. That's a very adult thing to do, you would think, but they're soon to learn that a lot of adults won't even be willing to do that. I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, and I'm gonna hit you with the last question. This one will be knocking them down. All right. So we found out what makes you happy. We found out what would take you. You would take on an island. We found out who's on your Rushmore. Now, last question. Gun to your head. You're in an alley. The only way you make it out alive is you got to perform 15 seconds of a song, word for word, bar for bar. Would you be able to walk out of that alley alive?
Which song?
Any song. You got to. It's got to be a song verbatim, word for word, bar for bar, for 15 seconds. Would you be able to walk in that alley alive? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. We got to yell. So you would be able to walk in alive. Here's the thing. What would the song be?
It's June 27th. Happy Screw Day. It is mostly done.
All right. Here we go. I got 15 seconds.
Wow. This is
Hey, listen.
childish.
Hey, around here we make people put their money where their mouth is. I got 15 seconds on the clock as we speak. You let me know when you're ready, and we'll go.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Fit.
Go ahead.
All right, go ahead. Wait, I gotta sing the song without the song playing?
Yup.
Wait.
I can tell it, bro. You in the alley, dog. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? You just
Boy.
gonna have a track? You gonna have an instrumental on you?
Boy. Okay, here we go. I thought we was gonna play the instrumental or something.
Nah, I ain't think you no instrumental.
I thought we was gonna play the instrumental.
All right, all right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
Go. Yeah. Slow, loud, and banging, all in my trunk. Trunk full of funk, I ain't never been a punk. I blowed on skunk, I blowed on Doja. Military minded, I'm a motherfucking soldier. Out the streets of the bridge, my foe. Not no bitch, and yet I still ain't a hoe. Letting niggas know every day of the year. I pin my pen and I get my point clear. Why niggas want to talk down, I don't know. Gotta take a trip to Acapulco.
You good? That's 15. That's more than 15. That's like 20.
Why to rip my shirt off?
That boy he's about to lose it for real, for real. Man, listen. I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. It always do this. I am more than elated. I'm so happy that you made the time, man, to talk about this, man. I don't think people understand that there are people that you walk by every day. There's people that you deal with on a daily basis. There are people that you talk to. There's people that you laugh with, eat with, hang out with that are working on their mental health. There are a lot of men, especially men, since this is Mental Health Awareness Month for men, the month of June, that are going through a lot. And at the end of the day, there's still this stigma, surrounding mental health, mental awareness. But I mean, there's a lot of men that are going through things. I want to pop up a couple of facts that from the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. According to Mental Health America, though men account for about 10% of patients with bulimia or anorexia, men with an eating disorder are less likely to seek professional help. Over 6 million men suffer from depression per year, but male depression often goes underdiagnosed. Yep. More than 3 million men in the U.S. have panic disorder, agoraphobia, or any other phobia. 2.3 million Americans are affected by bipolar disorder, and an equal amount of men and women develop the illness. The age of onset of men is between 16 to 25 years old. One more fact I want to pop off to you guys. One of the leading causes of disability in America is schizophrenia. Approximately 3.5 million people in the U.S. have been diagnosed, and 90% of those who are diagnosed by the age of 30 are men. So that's just of the people that have been able to be diagnosed. Those that have gone in, those that have felt comfortable enough to have gone in, those that have, in some ways maybe been forced to go in to get checked. There are a lot of people that are walking the streets, a lot of men that are walking the streets right now that you see on a daily basis that are going through some type of mental struggle, and they'll go undiagnosed, they'll go unchecked, they'll go unheard, they'll go unseen. Usually when you see a friend, you see somebody that seem off, that seems like something's wrong, something bothering them. Here's the thing. If your gut tells you something's bothering, something's off, then your gut's probably right. It's nothing to ask, hey man, you good? It's that simple. Because a lot of times, especially in the society we live in, men are taught from early on, like, hey, you know what, you keep that crap, keep it to yourself. Sign of weakness. Yet still today, things have changed, but the more they change, the more they stay the same. If you see something, say something. If you don't say something, then you can't complain. But you gotta help. And the easiest way to help is just by showing up. The easiest way to help is by just asking, hey, are you doing okay? The easy way to help is like, just checking on your people. You don't have to, go on this big crusade and try to go across the world and help everybody on the planet, but you do have your own set of friends, and it starts there. It starts with asking, "Hey, man, are you okay?" We we in our group of friends, we're very fortunate because we do have Chris, and because we have Chris, we're thoroughly educated, constantly on your do's and don'ts. And at the same time, I mean, we have somebody that, like he said, he's vulnerable, so he's willing to let us know like what he's going through. So it actually has helped us, identify in other people. I myself, grew up in a household where my dad he battled mental illness. Uncle, same thing. So it's not an uncommon thing in the African American community. It's very, very common, but it's very, very underdiagnosed, especially with men. Don't be afraid to check on your people. Chris, thank you. Thank you. A million thank yous. Any final words? Obviously, I mean, I want to give you the floor to say what you need to say. The floor is yours.
Man, I just want to thank you for all the love and appreciation. Like I said, it does. I just want to thank you for all it is moving. It's monumental for me as well to be able to speak on this topic on this platform. I really do appreciate the consideration. To anyone listening, I'm here as an open book. I did not start off as one of those people that chose to go to therapy. I was put into therapy and started with a very bad episode that led to it. So if you're curious and you need help, reach out. I'll assist you the best way I can. However I know how. You don't have to be nervous. So we in this together. Like I said, those 5 pillars, just to repeat them again, we're going to leave medication for last, but it's having a routine, having a support system, having a creative outlet and a physical outlet. Those things will change your life. And even if you're a person that doesn't struggle with severe mental health issues, it'll still help your regular day-to-day life with improving your habits, improving your goals. It's nothing bad. But, man, I appreciate you for, like I said, y'all, I love y'all. You have long since become family. And you don't understand how much I'm looking up to you. You on that second Mount Rushmore.
I appreciate that.
Managed to accomplish some things that's hard for people to do. And I just this right here, just taking the time out to do it, not even knowing who's listening or. It's beautiful, man. I appreciate you. I've learned many lessons, and I've been able to step further into my vulnerabilities from you, Greg, Darrington, speaking to Marcus every day, and dealing with Ian and Ty and Xavier, and Reggie.
Reggie is a project of his own.
Yeah. I look forward to spending time with each and every one of y'all together and separated, man. I really do thank you for bringing this in my life.
Absolutely.
Hey, the world's different.
Thank you. I appreciate that, boss. Well, man, I'll let you make it, man. I appreciate you again. Anybody that wants to reach Chris, how can you be reached?
I ain't changed my name in no time soon. So, look me up on social media on IG, Cutthroat Chris. That's KUTTHORT_Chris. There you go.
I have it in the on the video. If you're watching, you're gonna be watching the podcast. I'll have it on the video. If you're listening, it'll obviously be in the description, man. Chris, I appreciate you, my dude. Love to you, love to the family, man. I'm definitely gonna have you back on after we get the next meet out. Out the way because we do something stupid, do something nutty.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna throw some shit at the ground hard.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Let me know if you need anything more. I love you, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. Love you too, man. Talk to y'all soon.
Yes, sir.